Hi and welcome to the Journalism Salute. I'm Mark Simon. In each episode, we'll talk to or about an interesting person or organization related to journalism. The intent is to show that journalists are not the enemy of the people. Thank you for listening. On today's show, we're joined by César Rodríguez, a photojournalist and GroundTruth fellow. You might have heard our recent interview with photojournalist Ariana Neruzzi a couple of episodes ago. The GroundTruth folks told me that César also has a distinct story to tell. He joins us today from Mexico. Hi, César. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, nice to meet you, and thank you for your invitation.
César's work has been published in the Washington Post magazine, National Geographic, the Huffington Post, and the New York Times, among many other places. His work has also been shown worldwide. He's also a filmmaker and a podcaster. Sounds like he's pretty busy. All right, so first of all, you're also a little older than Ariana Neruzzi was. You've had a career that's fairly well developed at this point. Can you tell us first about the different stops in your career?
Well, I didn't start right away into photography or journalism. I had a chocolate factory for 5 years, and after that, I just had enough of being in one place and just making chocolate. So I decided to close it after the February 15th. You know, the February 14th is a big St. Valentine's Day, big for chocolate. So I decided to wait for that day, and the next day I just closed it, and I started to pursue photography. I mean, I didn't know how. That's why I opened my chocolate factory, because I was afraid. I was afraid of being a photographer, but I decided to jump to the abyss and just try it, no? And I started to take photos for myself, to go to some traditional parties or like indigenous or religious things here that I was photographing for myself, trying to build some photo essays. And that's how I started. Then I realized, or I found out about a workshop, the Eddie Adams workshop, and I just applied 4 times, and at the 5th time I think I got in. And I think that was for me the beginning of my career, because I met a lot of people, a lot of editors there. I live in a small town here in Mexico. There aren't many, or just like one or two other photographers that do the same kind of work that I do. So I was more or less on my own. And after this workshop, it just opened my eyes that there was a world out there. And after that, Marie Monteleone, she's an editor of Bloomberg, she contacted me and she told me that if I was interested on working with her, and I say, of course, I was. And after that, I just started working as a photojournalist, and some other editors saw my work and started contacting me, and that's how I more or less started.
Wow, there's a lot of questions to come out of that. How did your upbringing influence your decision to become a journalist?
I don't. My family is like very traditional here. Nobody was into arts or is into arts or some kind of other path than maybe. My mother is a psychologist. My father is a veterinarian. At the beginning I started to study business. I didn't finish business. I didn't had any like contact with photography in this kind of way. I maybe saw some National Geographic magazines or some other like that, but it wasn't into my background per se. My mother always told me that I had some kind of arts in my being. She was the one that suggested me to study photography instead of business, but I'm very stubborn, so I decided to study business. And now she tells me, you see, you lost a lot of time studying business, and now you're into photography.
And the other thing was the chocolate factory. Was the chocolate good?
Yeah, it was good. I had it for 5 years, so it was the first one here in my city, and it was really good. It was nice. It was a big, a good business, but I have to be there from 7 or 6 in the morning to 11 at night all year long. I know it's. I mean, that's some works are like that, no. But I just had enough because it was only me. It was I didn't had any employees, so I was really frustrated after a while because I didn't know what to do. And as I told you, I opened this chocolate factory because I say to myself, okay, I'm going to do this chocolate factory until I know how to be a photographer. But the business was good, so I just forgot about photography.
Okay. So how would you describe your style and how has it developed over the years?
Well, I think that my style has developed since the beginning. I started photographing people or things. It has changed a lot, maybe, and it's still developing. I don't consider that I have a particular style. I just, for my personal projects, I like black and white. That's the only thing that I like, or that I can say that that's my style. But I think it's getting influenced by all the things that I see. So I think it's evolving every time my style.
I just want to note, though, that the GroundTruth Fellowships were for global migration, refugees, and resettlement reporting, narrative driven multimedia stories of migration and resettlement shaped by climate change, economic and social instability, war and famine, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Cesar's project focused on seeing a Mexican migrant camp through a child's eyes. The work began in February 2020. It was published in Mother Jones in March, and it's linked in the show notes. Can you tell us about this project from the very beginning to the finished product?
Yeah, this project was thought at the beginning in a completely different way, or many changes have passed. When I pitched it, there was no COVID at the beginning. So my point was to go there to document their lives. It was to film a short film and also to develop some kind of collaboration with the people that were there in that migrant camp. I was thinking of maybe they could shoot photos themselves, and or they can choose the photos. It was different, no? But then the pandemic arrived, and the whole camp was fenced up, so I couldn't go inside freely. The people were desperate to tell their stories, but the immigration people were not letting anybody pass. So I went there, and I started to convince the authorities, if I could go there, no. And at the beginning, I interviewed some doctors. I talked to them inside the camp, and after a while, that same day, I would wander around the camp talking to people. It was my third time there, so I knew a lot of people who were living there. And so we started to take photos, to talk to them, and then the people, the authorities were very strict. So they told me some days that I could go in, some days that I couldn't go in. So I was very frustrated because my original idea was changing, and I was debriefing with my wife. I was debriefing with Ben Brody, who is my he was my mentor in this grant, and also with a friend, Chris Lee. And I was like talking to them and trying to get ideas. And Chris and my wife suggested, why don't you take photos and maybe let them color them, or maybe write some things. So I tried that. I went to the photos that I had already taken. I went to a small coffee factory, coffee small shop. They printed these copies, like black and white copies, And they printed by error like that. It wasn't meant to be like that, but I say, okay, let's try like that, no? And I bought some colors, some markers, and the next day I went with the people there, and I told them my idea that they could write, they could paint it however they wanted, tell stories, tell messages. So I handle all the photos to the people, and I just gave them the colors, and the next day I will come and they will give me the print colored. And it was very nice because they told me that that was something new for them and some kind of stress relief. And the whole family was there painting. It was very shocking also because in some copies they would write that some kids, they would write, I don't know, 5 times, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here. So after that, reading them, it was like really, really tough, no? That these kids were thinking this. And yeah, that was one part of the project. And the other one was I gave them voice recorders so they could tell the stories. And also I would leave them the voice recorder, and the next day they will give me the voice recorder, and I would just hear the stories, and after that I put together in a short film. And yeah, it was like that.
Wow, that's the photos in particular are very powerful. There was one that kind of stuck with me. 2 kids lying down on a mat, and one of them had like a big yellow ray, like the sun, coming right at them, trying to explain so that people can get an idea. The article is linked in the show notes, but very powerful, more powerful than just the photo itself, certainly, and what they're going through. Did you have a goal in mind for what you wanted that assignment to, like, what you wanted people to get from seeing that?
And that was for me the first time that I done that, like that kind of collaboration with the people that I'm taking photos, no? And I don't know, I felt really close to them. For me, I was trying to get other people empathy with these photos. Like, you know, your kids could color these photos, and maybe it is going to be the same result, but maybe your kids are not stuck here as in a migrant camp, but these kids are. So they are just kids painting photos, painting something, because they're just kids, no? But they are suffering, or they are living a lot of stuff, and the messages that they write, I just want people to get empathy, or to think that they're kids. They're not, I don't know, bad people or something, but they're kids trying to live. I don't know, 5-year-old kids just painting, writing messages, writing or drawing this sad face sun is really like, for me it's very revealing, no? Because I didn't tell them anything, and they drew this sun with a tear and a sad face, and like the kids painting this.
It's like the innocence of young kids combined with the difficulty of the reality, the situation that they're actually in. Certainly a very vivid set of photos. I want to go back to another project that you worked on. 2019, you did a photo essay for El País that was later picked up by Time magazine. A drug cartel had mistaken a group of moms and children in a car for their rivals and set the car on fire, killing the people in it. You met with the family of some of the victims, and watched them process everything, right down to building the coffins. What was that like, and why was that assignment? What did you get from doing that assignment?
That assignment was very tough. Actually, the editor, Hector Guerrero, he contacted me because I live in a really small town, so I have to take a bus, and then I have a 3-hour bus to the airport, and then take just a plane. Also, he contacted me at night. he told me something bad has happened. Do you want to go there? And this part is really dangerous, no? Cartels and all that. So I was a little afraid of going. I was a little doubtful, but I say, okay, well, let's go. We set up some measures, security measures, and me and the writer Pablo Ferri, we went there, and I was first surprised because we were the first ones to arrive. It was only like this big TV channel that was there, but we were the first one. So that first, because we were the first one, maybe I felt that people relate to us really, really fast, the people that were suffering, the victims. And so they greet us good and well, and they were very tired. So they told us, come tomorrow morning and we can talk. And we arrived the next morning, and I was talking to one of the father of one of the women that got assassinated. And he told me, you can take photos of anything. Please try to express with photos what I'm feeling. Try to express or to tell the world how we're dealing with this. So please feel free to do anything. So it was, I took it as a responsibility, like a big responsibility, no? Because I was there hearing their stories and seeing them cry, seeing them suffer. And for me, it was like, okay, I have to do something meaningful, not just some photos that illustrate this, but something that touches some other people. But yeah, it was really tough to be there with the families, with them building the coffins, burying them. I don't know. It was really tough. When I was there, Time editor, he contacted me and he told me that they were interested if they could publish some photos, and they published it. And we were talking by phone, and I was just more or less telling him the story, but also like crying or about to cry because it was a lot of stuff that it was there, no? But yeah, and then with the years I have seen again the family or the parents, and they greet me well. So I think we managed to do something meaningful.
How do you emotionally separate from what you're taking pictures of?
I don't think I can do that. It's very tough for me. I don't know. Sometimes I'm interviewing families or just people with very hard stories or very tough ones, and I'm crying behind the lens, no? Or it just it's really tough. And I think, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I just take it all in, and I don't express it. I express it there at the moment, like really, yeah, emotional. I can cry. I can feel a lot of empathy for the families. But when I'm back at home, I try to close it.
I can imagine that's got to be difficult. You've shot earthquake recovery. You've shot presidential elections. What were those like to photograph from up close?
Again, well, the earthquake was very. I went not to the big city, not to Mexico City. I went to small towns around Mexico City, and it was really shocking, but also really revealing, because all the people were coming together to help other families. They were cleaning the streets, the debris. It was a lot of collaborative. I don't know if that's a word, because everybody was helping each other. So it was really good to see that, like, people can help other people, no matter if they know them or not. Just volunteers were coming in waves to help other people, and that was good. The presidential election, it was also, I took it like a part of history, because this president, it was a big change, no, for Mexico. And when he was announced the winner, I went to the street to take photos on assignment, and there were people crying because they were happy, and like it was very different from other presidential elections because everybody, well, not everybody, no, but the majority were cheering, were chanting, crying. They were happy, and it was interesting, and I'm thankful for the editors that gave me this kind of work because I can be in the history, no? I can be witness like in the front place of the history.
You're documenting history. And speaking of documenting, you do documentary filmmaking as well. You have one, If Hell Existed, 50 Years of the War on Drugs. It looks like it's two stories. You have one individual story about a specific person, and then a bigger story about the overall war on drugs. And still photos they appear to play a pretty big role in this documentary. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I started this project, I don't remember how many years ago. I'm really bad with dates, but I tried to capture violence in Mexico, in all over Mexico, but it's just too much. Mexico is violent everywhere, so I tried to pinpoint some places, some like people, not just places, and I'm trying to tell this. It is still ongoing. I'm trying to tell their stories, but it's because it's so wide. It's very tough to get it right because it's so wide. You can get lost, no? in everything and not just one thing. And yeah, I try to do also video and photos. And also one thing is that I try to, for a lot of years, I didn't touch my city, my state, because I was afraid, because I work here, I live here, and I was afraid of the repercussions. But it just got so bad here also in my city that I just had to take it, and I started to document my city also, and hopefully nothing is going to happen. Right now nothing has happened, or no repercussions, but yeah, it's really big, this topic, and I sometimes get lost because I don't know how to focus it, because it's so wide. So it's still developing. The short film is still also on develop. I have a trailer of this short film, and it's also big investment, and that's a personal project, so that comes from my money.
What is filmmaking like for you?
It adds a lot of layers more. You get sound, you can see faces moving. I think it's another outlet that adds to the layers of your final report, no? Just a fast story how I started into this. I was the assistant of one photographer, and he told me, before he hired me, he told me, do you know how to do film? We were talking by phone, and I said, yeah, of course. I didn't know anything about movies, and so he gave me the job. We met in person, and I told him, to be honest, I don't know how to shoot film or shoot movies, but I can learn. And he told me, okay, this is how you do it, really fast, and I started doing that. And after that, I fell in love of also movie making, and but I think it adds a lot. And to be a good movie maker, I think you have to be related to the best of the best in this kind of, not being a one-man orchestra, but the best editor, the best sound designer, or something like that. So I try to to delegate that because I'm not good at that. So yeah.
Is there a project that you would like to do that you haven't done yet? And with that, is there a story that you'd like to do that you've done some very sad, very upsetting kind of stories? Is there a happy story that you might like to pursue?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first question, I want to continue this project on the migrant camp. The migrant camp is gone. It's not. It doesn't exist anymore. But they migrate. Some of them, they were allowed to pass to the United States, and I'm keeping in touch with them. So I would like to go and visit them and take photos of them, and just. Recently, one of the women sent me a message that she wants to release a book, and I was invited to the opening of her book, to the presentation. So I went to. It's in Boston, so I would like to go there and just be there. And I'm doing some other project on corn, heritage corn, native corn here in Mexico, and I'm trying to do also like a movie and photos of the people who are trying to save corn or native corn in Mexico, because native corn in Mexico is endangered, some of the species. So we have like 63 different types of corn here in Mexico, and I want to create a map of, I don't know, like an interactive map of where you can find each of these corns in Mexico. And I'm just visualizing, and you click some part, and then maybe a short essay or a small short film would come, and it will tell the story of this corn, of the people who are trying to produce it and all that. Like, that's not a tough or a harsh story, no?
I suppose so. Is there a happier one that you want to do?
I think that one, the heritage corn, yeah, it can be like a happy one, like people trying to keep up with the corn and in a happy way, maybe.
And then one other thing that you do, just as it seemed like it's kind of a thing on the side, you have a podcast yourself about books. What can you tell us about your podcast?
Yeah, my podcast is Los Libros de los Fotógrafos in Spanish, and it's about what photographers, photojournalists, or just photographers like to read. It's not about photo books. It's just more like if they like to read novels or science fiction or non-fiction. So I'm interviewing photographers, friends, most of them, and just asking them if some book maybe has inspired them to do a project. And most of my episodes until now are in Spanish, but now I'm also introducing in English some of them, and yeah, it's about that.
It's about that. That's cool. And how has GroundTruth been helpful to you?
They were really helpful since the beginning of this. And again, the workshop, the Eddie Adams, that's where I met Ben Brody, and he sent me the grant that I should apply to. So it was, for me, it is all related. And the GroundTruth is really helpful. I mean, they were there when my project was not very clear. They were giving me advices. They were giving me some leads to follow. And yeah, like Ben and all the team, Wilson, and I don't know, just Beth, everyone has been very helpful, very, like, they have followed my work, and they have been very supportive.
All right. Our last question is we ask everyone at the end of the episode, is there a journalism organization other than GroundTruth that you would like to salute because of the good work that they do?
Yeah, there are. I can think about, maybe there are a lot of them, but I can think about the Bronx Documentary Center in New York. Also the Overseas Press Club of America, because they gave grants when there was no work on anything. Because of COVID, they gave grants just to whoever who applied. So that was a really good relief for journalists who didn't have work. And also Fundación Gabriel García Márquez in Colombia, which is giving grants to journalists, workshops and all that. So I can think about those three, but there are a lot of organizations that are doing something.
And just so that people can understand, grants are essentially the key to you being able to do this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just applied to grants, all these personal projects, and they give me money to develop these grants.
All right. César Rodríguez, thank you for taking the time to join us. Best of luck in the future projects that you do.
Thank you, Mark.
GroundTruth's mission is to restore journalism from the ground up by supporting the next generation of journalists through field reporting that serves undercovered corners of the United States and the world. You can find them at thegroundtruthproject.org. Thank you for listening to the Journalism Salute. Please let us know what you think of the show. You can find us on Twitter at JournalismPod, and you can email us at journalismsalute@gmail.com.